Hey guys, this is Jonathan from TLD with a head-to-head comparison of not only two of the year's top Android smartphones, but arguably two of the year's best smartphones, period. The Galaxy S4 versus the HTC ONE. Now when you stack these guys head-to-head, without a shadow of a doubt, the biggest difference between the two is build quality. The HTC ONE epitomizes what a flagship phone should be in terms of build quality, from the all-aluminum design to the tapered edges, from the way it feels cold when you pick it up in the morning. Everything about it just screams premium at your face. Now, as far as the Galaxy S4, you can tell Samsung definitely went with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it model, as it looks eerily similar to the Galaxy S3. It features the same plastic polycarbonate design with a removable back, which does have some perks such as expansion via microSD and a removable battery. And not to say that it's built poorly or bad, because it's definitely not. It feels solid, but being a flagship phone, it pales in comparison to the HTC ONE. And in terms of build quality, the HTC ONE takes the cake and then some. Now, as of today's date, in the US, if you were to buy either of these phones on a new 2-year contract, $199 will get you a 16GB Galaxy S4, or for the same price, you can get a 32GB HTC ONE. Now, obviously, pricing fluctuates. There's deals, sales, promotions. So if you want to stay up to date, I'll have the most current pricing and availability, deals, and sales if there are any, as well as unlocked pricing just in case you don't want to be locked down to a contract, all linked right below that like button. Jumping back to the storage of the 16GB on the Galaxy S4, because there are so many software features packed into this thing, there's only about 9 available to the user. Now, yes, you can expand by a microSD card up to an additional 64GB, but that is limited to only photos, music, videos, and you can install apps on there. So if you're someone who loves apps, specifically games, which can easily get you over a gig in size, you'll find yourself running out of space sooner than later on the Galaxy S4, whereas the HTC ONE, of its 32 gigs, about 26 of that is available to the user, so you have a lot more room to play with in terms of apps and games, and on top of that, you get 25 gigs of Dropbox space free with the HTC ONE. So if you're the person that doesn't really rely on apps or games, and you need that micro SD card slot for your movies, for your photos, for your videos, and it also plays a big role in rooting and also making backups of your phone, then the edge goes to the Galaxy S4. But if you're the person that downloads tons of games and apps, then that edge goes to the HTC ONE. Next up, let's talk about what is powering these guys, what's under the hood, because they are both stupid fast, and it's gotten to the point where smartphones are becoming faster than most household computers. The HTC ONE is rocking a 1.7 GHz Snapdragon 600 quad-core CPU with 2 gigs of RAM, whereas the Galaxy S4, being the US model, is rocking a slightly faster 1.9 GHz Snapdragon 600 quad-core CPU that also features 2 gigs of RAM. Now yes, the Galaxy S4 is more powerful just slightly, but in terms of real-world performance and actual benchmarks, there wasn't a huge difference between the two. In Quadrant, the Galaxy S4 scored 12,112, whereas the HTC ONE scored slightly lower at 12,075. In Geekbench, the Galaxy S4 pulled away a little bit with a score of 3207, whereas the HTC ONE was a little bit slower at 2676, giving the edge to the Galaxy S4. Jumping over to 3D Mark Ice Storm, again, the Galaxy S4 was slightly faster with a score of 11,266 compared to the slightly slower score of 11,010 on the HTC ONE. Now, I will have all these benchmarks linked again right below that like button, so if you want to download them yourselves, share your results, leave me a comment down below and let me know how your device fared. The last benchmark I'm going to show you is GL Benchmark 2.7, the on-screen version, and this is going to translate directly into gaming performance. And again, you can see it was really close, with the Galaxy S4 averaging 15 frames per second and the HTC ONE averaging just a slight slower 13 frames per second. Now obviously that is a benchmark and it's going to be more demanding and taxing than most games, so we'll go ahead and jump out and check out Iron Man on both of these devices. You can see they run buttery smooth, they both look fantastic, there's no lag, they look great on the 1080p displays, and that leads us to the next question. Since they are both rocking 1080p displays, which of the two is better? The Galaxy S4 is a little bit bigger, coming in at 4.99 inches rounded up to 5, whereas the HTC ONE is slightly smaller at 4.7 inches, giving it a slightly higher PPI rate because they are packing more pixels into a smaller area. Now you can see side by side, in terms of that 0.3 inches, you don't really gain or lose a lot with either phone in terms of screen real estate, but in terms of actual quality, I'm going to have to give the edge to the HTC ONE. It's a little more accurate and kind of gives you a truer representation of what you are looking at on the screen, whereas the Galaxy S4 is a little warmer, it's a little over-the-top saturated. The best way I can kind of describe the two is the HTC ONE is like a good pair of audio monitors that's flat frequency, so kind of what you hear is what you get. In this case, is what you see is what you get. And the Galaxy S4 is kind of like an over-the-top set of speakers. Maybe they enhance the bass, enhance the treble, kind of tricking your mind into thinking it sounds better, or again, in this case, looks better. But for me, it's a little too over the top, a little too saturated, and I definitely prefer the color accuracy on the HTC ONE. But again, not saying the Galaxy S4 is bad by any means. Both of these displays are jaw-dropping, and I'm willing to bet some people will prefer the over-the-top look of the Galaxy S4 because it kind of tricks your mind into thinking images look better than they actually are. It's really close, but for me, again, the HTC One takes the crown in terms of display quality. So now that we've taken a look at most of the hardware, let's go ahead and take a look at the software, and this is where the Galaxy S4 really separates itself from the HTC One. Out of the box, the Galaxy S4 is rocking Android 4.2.2, whereas the HTC One is rocking 4.1.2, and even though the Galaxy S4 is rocking a more current version of Android, neither of these are like stock Android at all. I actually really did like Sense 5 on the HTC One. It's light, it's clean, it's elegant. Blink Feed, which is one of their features they're pushing, is kind of like a permanent flipboard on your screen. I found it to be a little intrusive on your home screen, but if you actually move it to the left, I found it much more enjoyable and actually found myself checking it often. One thing I didn't like on Sense though is multitasking. You gotta press the slightly awkwardly placed home button on the right twice, and that's gonna bring a little window up with 9 different rectangles, and you have to swipe each out individually. Conversely, on the Galaxy S4, all you gotta do is hold the home button, which is conveniently placed right there in the middle. It's gonna give you an option where you can swipe off apps, you can kill everything at once, you can quickly access Google Now, or you can get a shortcut to your active applications. Now, while we're on the topic, the Galaxy S4 features obviously a physical home button with 2 capacitive buttons on each side. Kind of seems to make more sense and is more intuitive in terms of navigation, whereas the HTC One only features 2 capacitive buttons, no physical button on there whatsoever. So for me, like I said, the Galaxy S4 does make more sense and is a little more intuitive in terms of navigation, but it's not a deal breaker and wouldn't stop me from using the HTC One. Continuing on with the software on the Galaxy S4, this is where this phone separates itself with any other phone on the market. They jam-pack this guy with tons and tons and tons of features. Some of them are gimmicky, but the more and the more and the more I use this phone, the more I found myself enjoying these features. For those of you guys who are familiar with the Galaxy Note 2 and really enjoyed the multi-window support, that has also come over to the Galaxy S4. All you gotta do is hold the back button, and from there it's gonna give you a little tab that you can slide out. You can choose from a list of applications and view 2 of those simultaneously. Now, as far as the futuristic features on the Galaxy S4, everything you see plastered all over the Samsung ads on TV, I'm sure here on YouTube, I actually really enjoyed Air Gesture. If you've ever moved an icon on your Android phone and you've been a little frustrated when you're trying to drag it over to the next screen and it doesn't quite make it, with the Galaxy S4, all you do is simply hold one down and you can actually swipe between pages and easily move it to another page without all that hassle and headache. That same Air Gesture applies to waving your hand like a magic wand and moving through photos. You can scroll with your fingers on a web page. And yeah, it's a little bit gimmicky, but as technology fans, this is some of the stuff that we should geek out over. If we showed this to somebody 10 years ago, they probably would have lost their mind, because that's some of the things you expect to see on something like Back to the Future. Another feature I really enjoyed was Smart Scroll, and by default, it is stupidly set to follow how you move your head, and you can all imagine how you look out in public trying to scroll, moving your head on your Galaxy S4. But if you actually adjust it to watch your eyes and then how you move the phone, it works a lot better. So when your eyes are on the screen, if you tilt the device back, it's going to scroll down through the article for you, or if you tilt it towards you, it's going to scroll back up. And this is actually really useful, and I found myself enjoying this a lot. Then you have things like Smart Stay, which will watch your eyes. If you move your head, it's going to pause the video for you. You have things like Air View, where you can hover your finger without touching the device, and you're going to get a preview of a picture, or an email, or a calendar. Those are cool, but I really didn't use those too much. Now, they also do both feature IR blasters to control your TV. Both were extremely easy to set up, both in under 5 minutes, and they both work extremely well. Nothing to the point where I'd say choose this device over the other because of the remote control. I do prefer the simplicity of Sense on the HTC One, but overall, in terms of navigation and features, the Galaxy S4 smokes the HTC One. Now, I know I'm not talking about every single feature on the Galaxy S4. There's probably too much to talk about in this video. But if you're interested in learning more, I'll have all those features posted down below, as well as my top 5 Galaxy S4 features. So now that we took a look at what separates the Galaxy S4 from the pack, let's take a look at one of the biggest features on the HTC One, something that really hasn't been done on a smartphone before, and that is the HTC Boom Sound. Now, it sounds simple, 2 front-facing stereo speakers, yet you haven't seen that before on a smartphone. Combine that with a little bit of audio processing in the software, and the result is the best sounding set of speakers I've ever heard on a smartphone. The Galaxy S4, on the other hand, has a tiny little speaker located on the back, and it really doesn't even come close. The HTC One is night and day better. And I know a YouTube video really can't do it complete justice, but in order to give you guys the most accurate representation, what I'm going to do is hold up the H1, which is a stereo recorder, and show you guys how the two sound side by side.
So you do have a plan. Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science. So you do have a plan. Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science.
So hopefully you could hear there was a huge difference between the two. So if you're watching movies, videos, YouTube, music, whatever it is, if you consume a lot of media, the HTC Boom Sound is a feature you're probably not going to want to overlook. Next up are the cameras. The Galaxy S4 is rocking a massive 13 megapixel camera, whereas the HTC One is rocking a 4 megapixel, or ultra pixel as they're marketing it. And they do a great job of showing that it's not always about the megapixels. For a lot of people, there's an assumption that more megapixels equals better, and that's not always the case. It really comes down to the sensor, and the HTC One shows why that's the case. For most environments, I think both cameras performed exceptionally well, and I really don't think you'd be disappointed with either of these phones if you picked one. But for me, the HTC One was a little more accurate, a little bit quicker, and overall I prefer the pure camera on the HTC One over the Galaxy S4. It performed better in low light, as you guys can see right here. This is the Galaxy S4. It's a little noisy, and then here is the HTC One. Now conversely, the Galaxy S4, I think more people will enjoy the camera because of the layout, and yes, we're going back to it, but features, because it is jam-packed with tons and tons, and you guessed it, tons of features, even on the camera. It's very similar to the Galaxy camera with the scroll style layout where you can choose from tons and tons of presets. Drama was really cool. Here's a little example of one of those shots. And you can get a similar effect on the HTC One, but overall, there's a lot more you can do on the Galaxy S4. You can simultaneously use both the front and the back-facing camera, which kind of could be cool for vlogging. And I think overall, like I said, I do prefer the HTC One, just the pure camera ability, but I think more people are going to enjoy the camera on the Galaxy S4 because it's not bad by any means. They're both awesome cameras, and I think the features take the Galaxy S4 over the edge. They both took outstanding video and is what you'd expect on a flagship 1080p smartphone. I really wouldn't say one was drastically better than the other, but I did notice the Galaxy S4 microphones performed a lot better, especially in windy situations. So if you vlog and you want to use your phone for that matter, you may want to check out the Galaxy S4. Next up, let's go and talk about something that's really important that kind of gets overlooked a lot of the times. That is battery life. The HTC One is rocking a 2300 milliamp hour battery, whereas the Galaxy S4 is rocking a slightly larger 2600 milliamp hour battery. Now, in terms of real-world use, I found myself sometimes struggling with the HTC One to make it through an entire day on the battery. If I was watching lots of video or if I was playing games, it felt like it really struggled to make it through the whole day. And on top of that, if your battery is low, it takes a super long time to charge up. So this is something where that removable battery on the Galaxy S4 kind of gives that the edge. So the Galaxy S4, on top of all of that, seemed to perform about 10 to 15% better in terms of battery life. It charged faster and overall got me through the day a lot easier than the HTC One. Now, at the end of the day, the lack of removable battery on the HTC One wasn't a complete deal breaker for me because I usually carry some sort of an external battery. Right now I'm using the Trent iCarrier, which is a 12,000 milliamp hour external battery. It'll charge whatever device you got, whether it's a tablet, smartphone, iOS, or Android, and it'll charge it for days. If you guys are interested in more information on that, again, I will have that linked right below the like button. Now, lastly, I know we forget a lot of the times because these things are phones as well, but both performed about the same in terms of cell quality and call quality. I didn't really get any drop calls on either phone. They both feature LTE, but that of course depends on the area you live in, but they both got about the same speeds for me, and both worked about the same in terms of call quality. Now, in terms of advantages, or if there are any between the two, in terms of being a phone, I'd have to give a slight edge to the HTC One in terms of speakerphone because of the boom sound. So at the end of the day, hopefully this video showed you the strengths and the weaknesses of each phone, kind of showed you which phone is better for you, and I think that's really what it comes down to, what is better for you. If you did enjoy this video, you found it to be helpful, and you are feeling like being awesome, make sure to hit that like button as it is much appreciated, and in return I will throw a virtual high five at your face. So to sum it up, we have two of the most badass smartphones that I've ever used, and to make it easy, if you prefer expandability, micro SD card slot, removable battery, if you prefer a slightly better battery, and tons and yet again tons of features, then go with the Galaxy S4. On the other hand, if you think you really like boom sound and you watch a lot of media and consume a lot of music, if you prefer build quality and the external battery is not a huge deal to you, I think you'd like the HTC One. So let me know what you guys think with a comment down below. Try to keep it civil. These are smartphones, not anything to fight about. Kind of think about what you were using 10 years ago to what we have now as options, and have to decide between these two phones is definitely a first world problem. Again, thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions on these two phones or just tech in general, hit me up on Twitter at TLD Today. I also have Facebook and Google+, where you can contact me there as well. Also, I'll be working on my next phone comparison video. Let me know what you want to see, either the Galaxy S4 versus the iPhone 5 or the HTC One versus the iPhone 5. Let me know with a comment down below. And again, this is Jonathan from TLD, and I'll catch you guys later.